Hi, and welcome back to another installment of the Maryland Gun Law series. Today we're going to be talking about pistol locks. Here we have an example of a bore lock. Here we have an example of a chamber lock or internal gun lock. Here we have an example of the trigger lock. And then here we have an example of the all-famous cable lock. Now the cable lock and the trigger lock are not going to be valid for today's videos, so we're not going to talk about those. We'll just focus on these other two. And for display purposes today, we're going to be using my Beretta APX chambered in 9mm and my Ruger SR40 chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson. Now, when buying a pistol, whether it be semi-automatic or revolver, in the state of Maryland, you cannot leave the FFL location or the gun store without the internal chamber lock or the bore lock inside your firearm. The cable lock and the trigger lock are not acceptable in Maryland as of, I believe it's 2003. I apologize for not having that date off the top of my head. But as of right now, 2019, you cannot use the cable lock and you cannot use the trigger lock when buying a new firearm. New firearm also covers used firearm from somebody else. So if somebody's got a handgun that you want to buy and you go through an FFL, that's still considered a new handgun, a new purchase rather. So you will be required to have a chamber lock or a bore lock. And we'll go ahead and start with the bore lock. Your bore lock will most likely come in a package like this. And as you can see, it's noted that this is for 40 Smith & Wesson and 10mm pistol or revolvers. And each different caliber has its own size bore lock. This one's for a 45 ACP, 45 Colt, 45 Casull, and so on. So each time you're going to buy a different caliber firearm, you're going to need a different caliber bore lock. And I'll go ahead and show you how it works. Now this is a bore lock for a 40 Smith & Wesson. You can see it's got a key, it's spring loaded, and down here at the end it's got a little slit in either side. Now when you turn the key, those little wings spread apart, which causes it to get locked inside the bore and you can't pull it out, rendering the gun unfireable. The good thing about these is you can use them indefinitely. You can let your friend borrow yours so they don't have to buy one if you already have one. For example, I have this one in 40. If a friend of mine was going to buy a 40, I could let them borrow this and they could use it when they go to pick up their firearm. Once again, you will not be able to leave the FFL location or leave the gun store without one of these present in your firearm. And I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like inside the gun and how it works. Alright, with your slide in the home position, you stick the bore lock down inside the bore of the gun, and then you simply turn the key and you cannot get it out. No matter how hard you pull, it cannot come out, which renders the gun unfireable. So this is how you would have to leave the store if you bought a Ruger SR40 and got the bore lock for it. So I'll show you real quick what the problem is with that. This is the box that came with the Ruger SR40, and as you can see, with the bore lock on, it no longer fits in the box. Problem that is here is you can't leave the gun store without your gun in a case or the box. You can't just throw it in the bottom of a bag and walk out the store. So that's problematic. I'm not going to go into it on the video. If you have a question or anything about that, we could talk about that in the comment section, but you can see how that's going to cause a problem. To get it back out, all you got to do is turn the key again and pull it out. And they promise that it doesn't destroy your firearm or damage it in any way. I guess I'll take their word for it. So far it hasn't done any damage to this, but I've only had it in there the one time when I bought the gun, and now for doing this video. The bore locks cost roughly $20 to $25. Usually there's a couple different options that'll happen. The gun store will add the price on to the end of the sale. So if you bought a $500 gun, then you've got a $520 purchase here. Or they build it into the price of the gun. And if you're lucky and you got a cool gun store or a cool FFL, they throw it in for free. and they don't charge you for it. So it really all depends on where you're at and where you go. You can use this over and over again. Once you've bought it once, you can use it until it breaks or you lose it. Basically use it indefinitely. So let's go ahead and move over to the chamber lock. And here's the packaging with some wonderful propaganda right off the top. So this is chamber for 9mm, and on the back it shows you how it works, so forth. This will only be used for a 9mm, and it's basically just this little stick. Now once it's put together like this, it will not work. You actually have to take it apart like that in order for it to work. And this goes down inside your chamber, loaded like that. So this is to the muzzle of the gun, and this would be the primer area, so this would be where the bullet were. And if you can look and see, those faint cracks all the way around it are just like the wings on the prior lock. When you put this on the end and turn it, those wings expand, causing it to get jammed inside the chamber, therefore rendering the gun unfireable. So I'll go ahead and show you the best I can on how that works. Hey, this is my Beretta APX 9mm. You take the chamber lock and put it down inside the bore, and you actually have to drop the slide completely. You can't walk it home, you have to let it drop hard, and then it's down inside the gun. Then you would take the handle and put it inside the bore and turn it clockwise until it gets tight, and then you can see I cannot rack the slide, therefore the gun is locked. And once again, they say that this cannot harm the firearm, so I'll just take their word for it. In order to get it out, you put the handle back in, turn it a few turns counterclockwise, and then the round will pop out just like a round, and your gun's back into working order again. And the chamber lock is just about the same, $20, $25, same deal. Your FFL or a gun store could throw it in, add it to the price of the gun, or charge you extra at the end of the sale, but they will not let you leave without this present. And that's pretty much it on the pistol locks. So if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.